They caught the Norcal Rapist. This is Murder Week for September 28th, 2018. Starting with old business. A father and son who murdered an unarmed man in an alley in a dispute over garbage have been rearrested. Prosecutors pushed for an insufficient bail hearing. After the two garbage men were released on $25,000 bond, their bond was increased to $250,000. Call Mark Harmon. NCIS is investigating the Border Patrol serial killer case, according to the Navy Times. Navy investigators are assisting local law enforcement in reviewing the service record of a sailor turned Border Patrol agent charged this month with murdering 4 women in Texas. That was Juan David Ortiz. Convicted Ohio serial killer Larry Ralston was up for parole. He didn't show up. He killed 5 women and raped 3 teenagers in the 70s. One of his victims was Linda K. Harmon. Her family is the one who is objecting to the parole. Guess who? That's right, Chris Watts. Oh my goodness. Chris Watts is mad about how the media portrays him, says this source. He feels like no one understands him. He spends 23 hours a day in his cell in Weld County Jail under close watch protocol. That's suicide watch. And he has no TV or reading material. A woman who was in a relationship with Todd Kohlhepp for 10 years had no idea he was a serial killer. She had an affair with Todd Kohlhepp for 10 years.
This woman had an affair with one of America's most notorious serial killers, and she had no idea.
There was always something that sat uneasy with me about him, and I just really couldn't put my finger on it.
Holly Udy is still coming to terms with the terrifying trail of death left by the man she... This woman had an affair with one of America's most notorious serial killers, and she had no idea.
There was always something that sat uneasy with me about him, and I just really couldn't put my finger on it.
You may remember Kohlhepp. He's the real estate broker from Spartanburg, South Carolina, whose sick crime spree stunned the nation.
Hey, we're going to get you out of there, okay?
Kohlhepp was arrested last November after a woman he kidnapped was found chained by the neck inside a storage container on his property.
It was just disgusting. I mean, it was sickening.
And the moment you've all been waiting for. Turning to new business, Roy Waller, the Norcal Rapist, was arrested last week. Police announced last week, that Roy Charles Waller, 58, had been identified via DNA as the suspected Norcal rapist who terrorized women from 1991 to 2006. These are some facts, according to Heavy.com, love blogs. Police identified Waller as a suspect through DNA analysis. Waller lived in Benicia and worked at UC Berkeley for 25 years. He was a specialist in safety. He's married and has been charged with 12 counts of sexual assault. He's been charged with 12 counts of forcible sexual assault, including 2 victims in Sacramento County. Norcal rapist terrorized 6 counties from 1991 to 2006, attacking at least 10 women. A list of the 9 victims, including their ages, the year of attack, and where the attacks took place. The Norcal Rapist entered the homes late at night and would bind the women and sexually assault them. He once posed as a trick-or-treater to get into a victim's house. 20 days later, he called to apologize. And this week, in Monday afternoon, he made his first appearance in court.
Waller, 132
Are you Roy Charles Waller?
Yes.
Mr. Waller, the bill's going to give you a copy of your advice and rights. You're here, sir, because
The Norcal Rapist's crime spree included Chico, where Maki Anderson was attacked 21 years ago. She was able to escape before her attacker sexually assaulted her. This one's weird. In Canberra, a university student chose a baseball bat instead of a firearm to attack his classmates and tutor because of the physicality of that weapon. It had been important to him. I actually have a YouTube video. Let's check it out right now.
We will no longer be posting any videos after today.
A YouTube message from Alex Ophel posted under the pseudonym Thane Jekyll.
Why will I disappear? Well, you'll find out if I'm successful.
Days later, in August of 2017, he attacked students and a tutor with a baseball bat in an ANU classroom, causing horrific injuries before being restrained by onlookers. This video played to a jury today.
But it's come to this.
A Houston man is now suspected of killing 3 people and seriously injuring 4 others in a series of brutal assaults in Los Angeles and Santa Monica that caused widespread panic in the region's sprawling homeless community, authorities said Tuesday. Ramon Escobar killed 3 and injured 4 in attacks on the homeless.
There was an arrest, that it was my cousin, and that it was for murders, and they were going to be questioning him on my mom and my uncle's case. My mom and uncle had a very close relationship to him. It's their sister's son. I tried to call him during one of the searches just as a plea, as if you know anything that could give us any clue as to the last days and where we should be searching. but he wouldn't answer my call.
The El Salvador native's arrest came days after a man was clubbed in the head with a pair of bolt cutters as he slept on the pavement in Santa Monica. The victim remains in a coma. This is pretty sick. Finally, 4 charged in a West Michigan plot to kidnap and rape a child at a small-town county fair. 4 people from Calhoun and Branch counties were charged Friday with a plan to kidnap, rape, and kill a child. Michigan State Police said they uncovered evidence of the plan to find a child at a local county fair or in a parking lot of Walmart or Meijer store. They intended to torture and sexually assault the child until the child was dead and then dispose of the body. And in legal news,
Hayden Poulter was given a life sentence in 1997 for raping and killing sex worker Natasha Hogan, and a week later killing sex worker Lara Nimford and her boss Herbert Richard Norris. He also attempted to murder a 4th person. Poulter became eligible for parole in 2011, but has been denied an early release until now.
Okay, now here's the rest of the story. The man labeled New Zealand's first serial killer has died less than a month after he was recalled to prison for breaching his parole. Hayden Tyrone Poulter was found dead in his cell at Wanganasi prison on Saturday. The case of alleged serial killer Bruce MacArthur will continue in Toronto on October 5th. 66-year-old landscaper has been charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of 8 men. MacArthur is accused of killing these 8 men, and for the serial killer trifecta, how Ontario serial killer Dylan Millard, sentenced for killing his father, may have bamboozled the police. Standing on the courthouse steps after the verdict on Monday, Toronto Police Detective Sergeant Mike Carbone, who oversaw the investigations into homicides of Wayne Millard and Laura Babcock, stressed that investigators had learned from these investigations, as they do from all investigations, and that the original detectives on those cases did the best that they could with the available information at the time. Ms. Babcock's mother, one of the victims, reported her missing to the police, but the 23-year-old woman had struggled with mental health issues, and in recent months she had started working as an escort and was using drugs. As a result, her absence was not immediately alarming to her family or to the police, who had minimal concerns about foul play. Finally, in killer-related news, West Midlands police are renting out Fred West's cell. You'll remember Fred West murdered and raped dozens of people. The ghost hunting event, which cost £75 a person, will take place at the Steelhouse Lane lockup in Birmingham, which is now a museum. Helped by his wife Rose, West raped, tortured, and killed at least 12 people between 1967 and 1987. And according to his daughter, there were a lot more than that. Anyway, that's all for this week. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you very much for watching. And Wrath, thank you for coming back. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell. And please tune in next week for your share of murder news.